Alright, we're going to continue on with our organic chemistry, our basic chemistry. We're going to, and we remember I mentioned that the honk, that those are the the four most important elements when you're talking about organic chemistry, which stand for hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon. Alright, quick mnemonic honk to help you remember those. Alright, and these compounds are broken down into two general categories. You got your inorganic and your organic compounds. Inorganic compounds do not contain any carbon, so things like H2O, water, that we just talked about in a previous video, alright, which is also very important to life, but it doesn't have any carbon, so it's an inorganic compound. But when you talk about organic compounds, they have lots of carbon in them, and they're also found with other functional groups, and we're going to talk about those a little bit more as well. Okay, so carbon, why is carbon so important? Sometimes known as the Swiss Army knife of chemistry. And you see right up here, there again, it says it's got its 6 electrons, 4 of those being valence electrons, which are the outermost electrons, the ones that are going to bond with other elements. And you can see down here, each one of these little lines means that it's a bonding pair. If you look down at our little diagrams here, these are bonding pairs here. So this particular carbon is sharing a hydrogen. So for each dashed mark means they're sharing a pair of electrons. Okay, so this carbon in particular right here is sharing electrons with everything around it. It's sharing 1 electron with hydrogen on either side and carbon on the 4th side. And in addition, this hydrogen, any one of these hydrogens is also sharing an electron. So each one of these little dash actually equals 2 electrons. Okay. So if you look down here, carbon can make singles, doubles, triple bonds with itself. And that is because it's sharing. If you compare the single bond to the double bond and you count up those hydrogen atoms that are found there, where this single bond has 6, the double bond only has 4. So you took away 2 electrons from the hydrogens and then added them into carbon, where carbon is now bonding with itself instead of those other electrons. Okay, and these become extremely stable bonds that we're looking at. Alright, so these organic compounds, they form polymers. Okay, and polymers are big long chains. Okay, so you take many monomers, mono meaning 1, and you connect these together with these bonds and you get polymers, and poly means many. Okay, and we call these macro meaning big, large macromolecules, compared to one little hydrogen molecule is going to be much smaller. But when you start putting all these things together, and we get lipids and we get proteins and we get nucleic acids, and these become these very large macromolecules. And there are 4 main types that we're going to talk about in our biology unit, in our biochemistry unit, and carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. Alright, and we'll be discussing those a little bit more detail by themselves in separate videos.